this is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it is Smackdown time again. This is one that many of you have asked for. The new Surface Pro 3 here by Microsoft, the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. Both have pens, both have touchscreens. We're going to look at them now. So here it is by popular, and really it's very logical demand, shall we say, the comparison between the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. This is not the Yoga 2 Pro or any of the other Yogas. This is the ThinkPad branded Yoga model, and the new Microsoft Surface Pro 3 here. Different yet the same. Both are in the 12-inch class. This is a 12.5-inch full HD display. 12-inch display on the Surface Pro 3, running at even higher resolution, slightly different aspect ratio, 3:2 versus the normal widescreen display. So that makes using it in portrait orientation a little bit more natural, which makes sense for something that is a pure tablet. This is a convertible right here. So yeah, it looks like a laptop, but it converts. It does that yoga thing. You can use it as a tablet by doing this. You can put it in tent mode and so on. And it weighs 3.5 pounds, so it's a handful. If you want to use it as a pure tablet, you're probably going to rest it on something. And yes, the keyboard always faces out. It uses the lift and lock feature from Lenovo, so the keys do not move. It actually locks the keyboard, so you won't feel any jiggly wigglies going on here, but still something to consider. So really, first and foremost, this is designed to be used as a laptop or in presentation mode. You can take it like so. Do that, for example. You can tent it, all sorts of little yoga-like things there. You can do that with it if you want. Those are its primary purposes in life. Yes, it can be a tablet, and yes, it's nice for artists, really great for artists, in fact, because it has that Wacom digital pen. Not quite stiff enough unless you have a very light hand. If you're going to be drawing or writing with it like this, and you lean your hand on here, which would be natural, it's going to move some. So, Surface Pro 3. Again, even higher resolution display on this. Is a gorgeous display. Notice first thing, this is glossy. The ThinkPad Yoga with the digitizer pen option, which is the only way that Lenovo sells it from the website. You might find it in some retailers with touch only, but on Lenovo website it is pen plus touch. Anyway, the Yoga has a matte coating, which I find really nice. This one is glossy, so it's going to be doing that. Here's our removable, detachable, in fact optional, not included in the box, keyboard, and then what you have is a tablet that weighs just 1.76 pounds, and it has that nifty kickstand. To learn everything about this, of course, you should watch our video review, so you can, but you've got the kickstand. And one thing that is very nice for those who are artists is, see how the kickstand goes like that? So you can put it on the table, and it is stiff enough that you can rest your hand on it and do some drawing. So that is pretty neat. Obviously a lot less to carry around, obviously more vulnerable too. No protection, it's not a clamshell design here. The optional $130 type cover for Surface Pro 3 will protect it some, not as much as being a clamshell, but if you're reasonably careful with your stuff, it's pretty good. Magnesium casing, nice metal, very classy, gorgeous looking. Certainly as a product, it just creates lust. If you go to Best Buy, you always see people just flocking around these and staring at them because they're pretty darn neat to look at. The Yoga, on the other hand, is all business. If you like the ThinkPad look, you'll think it looks really nifty. Otherwise, it is your basic black rectangle. Metal everywhere, very strong as well. ThinkPads are known for their durability. This is a very durable product. Serious, big, robust hinges right here. So, strong on both sides. A little bit more protection for the screen, obviously, or more than a little bit. But then again, this weighs 3.5 pounds versus 1.76 pounds. What's the most important difference, though, to me, when you're going to be buying this, is how much time you spend typing. Surface Pro 3, as you know, because you've watched our video review, right? It has a pretty surprisingly good cover, by the way. As you can see, when you cover it, it puts it to sleep. These are actual movable clicky keys, and they're backlit too, which is a pretty surprising and nifty thing. It's still a flexible kind of cover. This is the most rigid one yet. Key travel, it's not really bad considering what this is, but it's an okay typing experience. It's not a fantastic typing experience. With the new design here, you can see there's a magnet actually on the surface that gives you some angle and some height, so it's no longer just a flat thing on the table. It helps a little bit. So it's not bad for typing. And those of you just need to bash out some emails, occasionally type a few things, do social networking posts, it's fine. For those of you who are content creators of the word kind like me, I write written reviews all the time. If you're a coder where making typos really is not so cool, is it? You're going to want something more like this. Of course, Lenovo ThinkPad keyboards are among the best, and this is an excellent keyboard. Not quite as the same amount of key travel maybe as some of the bigger ThinkPad models, but still really a very good, also backlit keyboard. Lovely tactile feel, the whole smile-shaped keys thing. It's a wonderful typing experience, and of course you get the more normal-sized trackpad. It's also very good. Synaptics trackpad that Lenovo uses is quite nice. The Surface Pro 3 one isn't bad either, but this one's better. So if you spend a lot of time writing papers, if you're a software developer writing a lot of code, if you write long-form anything, this will make more sense. With Surface Pro 3, you can get an external Bluetooth keyboard. You could use a USB keyboard, but that's another thing to carry around. So that's a good solution at the desk. If you're somebody who just needs to reference stuff mostly on the go and do a little typing, and you're happy to do most of your typing at your desk, it can still work. You can use a bigger keyboard. Next thing is ports. Now, there are docks available for both of these. Lenovo's is a bit on the fancier side. It's their new one link kind of connector here for the dock, two kinds of docks you can get. But for those of you who, again, have more, I need a full laptop kind of thing going on, you're going to probably want the ThinkPad because we have, well, there's the charging connector there. We have USB 3.0 port, headphone jack, combo audio. On this side, we have another USB 3.0 port. So we've got two USB ports on this, 3.0. Micro HDMI built in with full-size SD card slot, and these are just your volume controls, power, lock, orientation. And the pen actually has a place to live on this. Now, the drawback's a dinky little pen. It's quite thin, but at least you won't lose it. Surface Pro 3, as is ever, like most all Windows tablets, pretty port constrained. We have audio port right there. That's our volume control. Power button up top. We have one lonely USB 3.0 port there. We have a mini display port right there. So that's pretty cool. If you need to drive higher than full HD resolution displays, you can do that without having to worry. And there are adapters that go from mini display port to HDMI, so you do have that there. But fewer ports, and yes, there is a micro SD card slot, not a full-size SD card. So storage speeds are generally a little slower for micro SD cards, and they cost a bit more, but it's right hidden in here, your micro SD card slot. So on ports, it wins. Camera, notice the camera on the back, 5 megapixel camera front and back. The Lenovo, being more of a laptop style convertible, has just one front HD webcam on it. So you get more going on here with the cameras if that matters to you. So how about pricing and configuration availability? At launch, Surface Pro 3 is available just with the ULV Core i5 CPU. That's an Ultrabook CPU, same as used in Ultrabooks like, well, this ThinkPad Yoga right here. There will be a Core i3 and a Core i7 option as well. Pricing starts at $799, call it $800 for the Surface Pro 3, but that does not include this keyboard. So we're going to pick some Microsoft for that. I will too. It's really kind of an integral component that adds another $130. So you're talking about $930 for the Core i3 with only 64 gigs of storage and 4 gigs of RAM. 4 gigs is as low as you can go with either of these. The ThinkPad Yoga, Lenovo is a little bit more of a moving target with pricing. Some retailers have very good pricing, some charge a lot. Lenovo constantly has sales on their website, but as of today on their website in the US, $900 for the Core i3 model with 4 gigs of RAM and a conventional 500 gig spinning hard drive. Yes, this has a SATA drive bay and a standard 2.5-inch drive bay versus the M-SATA SSD that's used in our Surface Pro 3 here. You can also get the Yoga with an SSD drive, and you can obviously upgrade aftermarket. It's a pretty easy thing to do. You just unscrew the screws on the bottom. There's a bunch of them, but they're pretty standard screws. So you can take that bottom panel off. You can access everything in there, and you can upgrade your components. You can change the wireless card if you wanted to. You can put in an SSD or a bigger SSD or switch back to a conventional spinning hard drive if you wanted to. With our Surface Pro 3, you know the story with the Surface Pro line. Taking these things apart is just nigh impossible. It is really basically glued together inside there, so you're not going to be upgrading this yourself most likely. Both are available with either 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. That is soldered on board for both of these. So regardless of whether you could get inside or not, you can't upgrade the RAM on either of these. With both machines, like I said, you can get Core i3, Core i5, Core i7. You won't be able to get anything but the Core i5 for a couple of months with the Surface Pro 3, according to Microsoft, but that will be available. So Lenovo, for upgradability and variety of configurations, it would win right there, just because you can actually get it with different wireless cards. Change the wireless card, though the default Intel 7260 AC card is really top of the line. You can't go better than that right now. They both have Bluetooth 4.0. As you start to configure the Lenovo up a little bit, this one here is the Core i5 with 128 gig SSD, 4 gigs of RAM, the digitizer pen, full HD display. That is around $1,100 or so. So if you take the $999 Surface Pro 3, which is the same configuration basically, and add on the keyboard, you're looking at roughly the same pricing. These are both full Windows machine, Windows 8.1 64-bit. That means you can run all your desktop applications. Look, there's the desktop, which doesn't mean anything necessarily because Windows RT has what looks like a desktop. But if you look, you can see I have Adobe Photoshop installed, Evernote, all sorts of nice things that are desktop programs. The same is true for Surface Pro 3. It looks like a tablet, it feels like a tablet. It does everything an Ultrabook does. So you're on even ground there. In terms of performance, they're pretty similar. Surface Pro 3 pulls ahead a little bit because Microsoft really has a very clean OS there. It is completely 100% bloat-free, well-tuned, so a little bit faster on benchmarks. Not a huge significant number, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. So how about the pens? First we're going to talk about art programs. Painter X3 or 13, however you want to call it, on both of these. We're going to go with the same size image on these. So you can see how the slight difference in resolution affects. You got more space to work with there relative to the resolution. Slight difference there. Pens are quite different on these. And we're going to have a separate video just on all the different pen technologies because I know that's gotten pretty confusing for some of you folks. It used to be Surface Pro 3, Surface Pro line used the Wacom digitizer. They have switched to N-Trig and this kind of pen here. Slightly different look, nice metal. Right here I have the Wacom Bamboo Feel-It stylus, or pen rather. You can use whatever Wacom compatible pen you want with a Wacom digitizer, as long as it's meant to work with tablet PC. So this one's a little bit more ergonomic. That's a nice thing. With N-Trig pens, there's really not third-party alternatives right now. But the Surface Pro 3 happens to be one of the nicer ones out there. You get a little button and that launches OneNote, and that actually uses Bluetooth to do it. It's not your average N-Trig pen, which is just an active digitizer pen. It actually has Bluetooth in there just to do that. 2 buttons on it. And with the Wacom pens, it really depends on what you get, which pen, but the one that comes with it has a 2-button kind of thing going on. And there's some that even have an eraser at the end that functions as an eraser. Now, the difference in these is pressure sensitivity. 256 levels with N-Trig and 1024 with Wacom, and also the pressure curves make a difference too, and the pressure curves are tuned a bit better. There's also the whole WinTab thing. Those of you who are digital art people know about that. WinTab drivers for Wacom have been around for quite some time, and that means easy support for Adobe Photoshop, Corel Painter, all those things. But N-Trig finally came out with some drivers thanks to Surface Pro 3, and now you get WinTab there too. But there is a difference in the drawing sensitivity. And I'll show you here first. We're going to just draw. You can just see the nice line. I can go get light stuff. I can get heavy stuff. And it's a very nice gradated curve. So let's see what happens on our Surface Pro 3. First, I have to press harder. The pressure curves aren't tuned the same. This program does have pressure curve tuning on it, but no matter how I've played with it, it's obvious that it's just not getting the curves. It's not too bad. You just got to really work your technique a little bit more here. And I prefer to not have to think about something as simple as how much pressure and how carefully I'm using it is. I just want it to feel as much like a instrument of art as possible. The good thing here is you got edge sensitivity that's very accurate out to the edges. There's less parallax. The pointer is right under the tip of the pen because they're different technologies. The active stuff is really going on inside of the pen here, and this uses a quadruple A battery. With our Wacom, the active stuff, the EMR panel, is actually the one that's doing most of the work electrically speaking, and the pen is actually passive here. And the point at which it calibrates is a little bit set back in the pen, so you'll notice it more as you tip the pen. It can go off. Now, I calibrate every so often, and this is actually pretty good and spot on right now, so points to that. whack 'em. So for art, I would pick this. When it comes to note-taking, they're both excellent. In fact, some people might actually like N-Trig better because you do have a bit less parallax where the line is that you're writing is directly under your pen tip. In terms of actual screen quality, they're both fairly bright displays. They're both nice displays. Some people have complained about image retention on the Yoga, not an uncommon problem with some LG panels in that size and even some bigger ones. Some MacBook Pros have that problem, but no image retention issues on the Surface Pro 3. This is my personal Yoga, and I have not really had serious image retention problems, but you can see a little temporary ghosting if you leave it on the same thing long enough, say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it goes away. But for those of you who are driven mad by that, keep that in mind. The slightly higher resolution display is really lovely on the Surface Pro 3. The glare is not the lovely thing. The higher resolution, you got to use more Windows scaling, certainly, to make things viewable over there. In terms of color gamut, Surface Pro 3 gets it right. Where Surface Pro 2 is kind of middle of the road in terms of supporting a wide color gamut, around 50% of Adobe RGB, which is what the Yoga does. They've moved it up to closer to 75% of Adobe RGB. So for those of you who are art people and really depend on color accuracy and wide color gamut that can make the difference, Surface Pro 3 would be the winner. So how about battery life? Battery on both of these guys is sealed inside. With the ThinkPad Yoga, if you really had to replace it, say it started to die of old age, years down, you could unscrew the bottom and put in a new battery, but there's no release latch to pull it out. Obviously, it's really sealed inside on Surface here because this guy is tight like a clam. Battery life on them, it's about the same. It's 6.5 hours. Say you have brightness set at 50%, you have Wi-Fi on and active, you're doing mixed productivity tasks, maybe streaming a couple of YouTube videos while you're at it, like watching our video, about 6.5 hours. So, yeah, that's a draw. So there you have it, two 12-inch class Windows 8.1 machines. A lot's the same, but some things are very different, as you've seen. So hopefully this Smackdown has helped you figure out what you want. The more pure tablet design, the better keyboard if you do a lot of content creation, things like that. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to watch our video review of each of these products. Subscribe to our YouTube channel too.